Hello, my dear students. Good morning. It's a great time to have you on our English Grammar 2 course. Today we have Unit 7, Part 2. Before we begin, I'd like to give you two pieces of advice. The first one is related to your studies. You have to study hard right from the beginning, and you have to take notes, answer the questions, be ready for the exam, and try to improve your English by listening, reading, writing, and speaking. The second piece of advice is related to your health. Since we have been suffering from corona disease or coronavirus for about 1 year or so, we advise you to stay at home, not to mix with other people, try to wash your hands frequently, wear your protective masks, try to keep social distance, and be as far away from other people, especially those who are sick or infected. Now, we have known that this unit talks about passions and fashions. We have J.K. Rowling, the famous billionaire writer. She was very poor. She was, jobless. She was unemployed. Then she made a fortune, hundreds of millions of dollars, by writing her famous Harry Potter. Today we have here pointing grammar, discussing grammar. We have here look at the pairs of sentences. Which tenses are used? Why? Discuss the difference in meaning. Let's examine, this first verse here. I lived in Sydney for 2 years. I've lived in Sydney for 2 years. The first one tells us that I lived in Sydney in the past, but I no longer live in Sydney now. Why? The second sentence, I have lived in Sydney for 2 years, tells us that I lived in the past and I'm still living there. Number 2, I work for an international company. I work for here, work is present simple. That means it talks about facts or habits that I now work there. I'm still working, but I have worked for them since 2006. That means I've started in the past and perhaps I'm still working. Number 3, how long have you been working in Tokyo? It is about continuity, continuous. How many countries have you worked in? Yes, the present perfect continuous and the present perfect. The first one is emphasizing on continuity, continuous. The second one, perhaps you have, stopped, but the effect is there. The result is there. It connects the past and the present. Number 4, have you ever met anyone famous up till now? That means in your life, have you ever for about many years, it is indefinite. Did you meet anyone famous at the party? That means past simple, in the past, yesterday, last week, last Sunday, and so on. All right. Number 5. I've already finished. Yeah. The work is done. I haven't finished yet. Yeah. It is, still working. Number 6. Who's been eating my chocolates? Who's eaten my chocolates? The first one, someone has eaten parts of my chocolates. The first one. The second one here, who's eaten? He has eaten all my chocolates. Nothing is left. Nothing is left. He left nothing for me. Number 7. The president was shot in 1963. Past simple. Have you heard the president has been shot? Yeah. I will talk about present perfect. Something happened in the past, but its effect or it may still be taking place now. How long are you here for? Yeah. How long have you been here for? Yeah. So the first one is, are you here? Emphasizing, the present time. Underline the correct verb form here. Is plane took off or has taken off a few minutes ago? With ago, we have past simple. So we must use took off. Number 2, the president has resigned. The president has been resigned. And a new president has has elected or has been elected. Has been elected. So the first one, the president has resigned and the new president has been elected. I work or I've been working in Dublin since, or Dubai, since last March. I've been working. Yeah, present perfect. When did you arrive? When did you arrive? Number 4. How many emails have you sent? Or have you been sending? Yeah, have you sent? Number 5. What did you do? Or what have you been doing in the ballet room? You were or you have been in there for ages. So you have been, what have you been doing? And you can say you have been for ages. Number 6, a huge snowstorm has hit or has been hit New York, has hit New York. Over 40 centimeters of snow has fallen in the last 12 hours. People have been advised to stay at home. Now we have an exercise here. Where can the words in this box go in these sentences? Sometimes several words are possible. We have just, yet, already, ever, and never. Number 1, yeah? I have read that book. You can say I have already read that book. I have just read that book. I've been reading an interesting book. Yeah, you can say I have been reading. Yeah, I have been reading. I have already read an interesting book. Number 3, has it been made into a film? Has it ever or has it already been made into a film? Number 4, he has learned to drive. He's already learned to drive. He's just learned to drive. Number 5, the match hasn't finished. The match hasn't finished yet. Yes. So we have here the match hasn't finished yet. How have you been to Morocco? Have you ever been to Morocco? Yes. We have here a famous person, Calvin Klein. He is a designer here. He is a famous designer. Here we have here. How long has Calvin Klein been interested in fashion? Yeah, since he was 14. What difference or different kinds of clothes has he designed in his career? Yeah. Number 3 here. How many times has he been married and divorced? How many children does he have? How many awards? Yes. How many awards has he won? How long has he been making his own perfumes? What are they called? Which? Yes. All right. So we have here. Which here? How long has he been making his perfumes? What are they called? Which famous persons has he worked with, or which famous people has he worked with and designed for? How long has he been selling cosmetics? We have here time expressions. Complete the sentences with phrases from the box. We have while he was studying at the Fashion Institute when he was 14 in 1972 for 10 years, 4 years after he got married. Since the 1970s, between 1982 and 1986, until he was 44. Yeah. Yes, his interest in fashion began, and you can choose from this box. Yeah. Since he was 14, he met his first wife, Jane, and of course, talk about 4 years after he got, yeah. So we have here, yeah. You think of the first Calvin Klein jeans were introduced, and you have to look for the information. His daughter was born, and you can tell this one. All right. Imagine you are a journalist. You are going to interview Calvin Klein about his life. Write questions. We have here. Where were you born? New York, in the Bronx. And we have you always been interested in fashion? Yes, I have. Well, most of my life, since I was 14. All right. So we have these questions. Yeah. All right. We'll try to answer these questions. You can look for more questions. I'd like to introduce you to some famous how football began. As far as 2500 BC, that Chinese played a kicking game called Tzu. Similar games were played by the Romans and North American Indians in England in medieval times. Mob football was wildly popular in 1583. Philip Stubbs said of football players, sometimes their necks are broken, sometimes yes, their backs, sometimes their legs, sometimes their arms. So it was a violent game. It was a violent game. All right. So we talk about this one, football around the world. We have information on Europe, football in Europe, football in South America, football game in North America, football in Asia, and football in the Middle East, as well as Australia and Africa. If you take Africa, for example, Africa has produced a number of soccer superstars, but many of them have been lost to the rich European countries. Yeah, they have been lost to the rich European clubs. Africa is poor in resources, but rich in talent, with thousands of gifted young players dreaming of big, of course, big time. South Africa's hosting of 2010 World Cup is very important for African football. We have Australia is also interested partly in football game. The Middle East, especially Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Qatar, yes, have invested heavily on this game. Yeah. So they have hired the best players and coaches that money can buy. Right. Countries like Japan, Korea co-hosted the World Cup in 2002. We have North America. We have interested in football. South America produced the best players, like they produced some of the most exciting soccer on on earth. Many of the world's famous leading players have come from poverty to play on the world stage. They have been snapped up by wealthy European teams after making their mark at home. Brazil has won the World Cup 5 times, Uruguay 3 times, and Argentina twice. All right. So we have come to the end of this lecture. If you have any questions, please tell me, let me know. I'll be happy to help you. Now, I'd like to thank you very much on joining our course, English Grammar 2. Thank you and goodbye. See you next lecture.